Now, so far we have seen the how to create a HTML, how to create a CSS, how to use HTML with CSS. We have seen all those things. Now, next, how can we use the CSS for LWC? Is there any other way we are using the CSS for LWC? Now, here what we are doing CSS in the HTML, if I want for a particular element, particular tag or particular element, if I want it, I'm using that element or that tag, and for that tag, we are adding the styling. Now, is this the same way? Can we implement a LWC, or is there a different way? You can implement the same way. Also, there are multiple different ways to implement a CSS in LWC. Now, what are those different things in the LWC? So we have a CSS ID. So usually what we will do is right now, instead of taking it as an element, right now we are taking it as an element array tag. So if I want to apply the color per table, then I will use the table. Now if I want to apply color per cell, then I use the TD, right? So if I want to add a text is content is center, then I'm using the TD. So by using this elements or a tags, what we are doing, we are applying the style. But in the real time, there is another way. By using the ID also, we will apply the styling. Let's say here inside the HTML, I'm going to create a hash para1. So this is ID name. I have a ID. So in the body, so assume that there is a paragraph, and this paragraph is a hello world. Hello world is the paragraph, and this paragraph has the ID para1. Now I wanted to apply the styling for this paragraph. Now, sometimes few developers in the real time, what they will do is they will declare the ID here. And then based on this ID, what we will be doing is we will be applying the style. Now, wherever this ID you specify it, those elements, those tags will be automatically apply the tag, apply the color. Now, let me show you that. File, new text file, language, HTML. Now here I will specify HTML. Now I'm going to specify the header. And also inside this we have a body. Now in the header, I'll specify here style. Okay. And specifying the style. Fine. And inside the body, I'm going to create a paragraph. So at the body, I'm going to create a paragraph ID equal to, let's specify this is par1. And then I'll close the paragraph. Within this paragraph, I'll say here, this is a CSS with HTML in LWC. Similarly, I'm going to add it another paragraph here. Different way to apply the styling. Right, so this is the, now here style, what I'll do is, now we are going to apply the style for this paragraph. Now if I use a P here, what will happen? It will apply the style for this paragraph as well as this paragraph. But I do not want both the paragraph. I want only one paragraph style should be added. So by using this ID, what we will say here, hash, and then we will specify the ID name. And then inside this we'll have a text align center. Now after that we have a color. Now let me apply some color here. Let's take brown. And if you want to apply the same color multiple things, let's say I have a H1. Now H1, I'll display H1, and this H1 will be the HTML with CSS in LWC. Now for this H1 also, I'm going to apply the style ID equal to bar1. Now click on this, save. Now here CSS in LWC. Let's open up the page here. Now if you see here, this one, so this is CSS with HTML. We have applied the padding, text align, sorry, par1, the style we have applied, text align is center. So this is one paragraph, this is H1. And there is another paragraph. Another paragraph does not have any styling because we did not apply. So by using the ID, you can apply the styling to the, based on whatever the element is required, based on that you can add it. You can add based on that. Now that's about the CSS ID. Now similarly, instead of ID, what we will be doing is we will use a class instead of ID. So here some developers, what they will do is use the ID. So based on this ID, they will apply the style. Now in the real time, instead of using the ID, we use a different thing which is called as a class. Which is called class. Assume that I have a paragraph or H1. So in the H1, when we are writing the H1, here we are writing some text and applying the class. Class equal to center. Now, before, if you use a ID, whatever the name is there, before the name, you will use the hash. If you are using the class, if you want to apply the style based on this class, we use a dot. We use a dot. Now, let's say here, for example, this is the hash. Now, instead of this hash, now instead of ID, what we will do is we will use the class. Now let's save it. Now my style is still says hash par1. Right now, let me refresh the page. And if I refresh the page, all the styling has gone. Styling did not apply because we have changed the styling applied. Whatever, instead of ID, we are using the class. Whenever you are using the class, you need to apply the dot. So let's save this and then refresh. Now the styling gets applied. So mostly in the real time, we use a class. Class refers to a style. Now you will use the class equal to, you will apply some styling. Class equal to style. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I have one question.
Yeah.
So how to decide we have to use the ID or we have to go for a class?
In real time, mostly we will use the class.
Okay.
Both functionalities are different, same, but it is up to the developer, what the developer feels. If the some developers knows class, some developers knows ID. So whenever, whatever they know it, they will use it. So in the real time, we use class in LWC.
Okay.
LWC or Aura, we use a class because most of the developers knows class. ID is very rare.
Okay.
So we have a few other things like in the HTML, we have a list. List is like an unordered list, ordered list, description list. We have a, these lists are there. Unordered list is nothing but, so you have a tag in the HTML which is called UL and LI. So using these two tags, we will be able to display the unordered list. Right, so let me show you here. Let's say here we are going to implement an unordered list. So if I want to implement an unordered list, so what I'll be using is there are two tags are there. Let's say here UL, and inside this we'll specify the LI. Let's say here Salesforce, and I'm going to use another one which is called Apex and LI, and then we are going to use LWC. Now let's click on this save and just refresh this page. Now you are getting the unordered list. Now here in unordered list, whatever these dots are there, now you can define it how you want your dots. So by default, it will be displayed this one, but if you want a different one, so there is a styling will be available. So there is a disk. If you apply a disk, it will be a different dots you will be able to see. If you apply a circle, so you will be able to see the circle. Now, if you add a square, you will be able to see the square dots. And if you apply the none, there won't be a none. Now, let me show you that. So this one and another one, I'm going to add it here, UL. Same thing, but I'll specify here circle. Let's say UL, let's specify style equal to, now we have a list hyphen style hyphen type colon circle. Now let's save this. Refresh the page. Now you have a circle. Similarly, square you can apply. This you can apply. Now let's say here I have another one. I'm going to add another unordered list. So this is a disk. Let's click on this save. Refresh. So disk is normally it is coming. If you specify none, so it will be displayed none. 3 iris. Yeah. Fine. So it is normally it is going to display. So we have a different ways to display the unordered list. Now, similarly, we have another one which is called as a ordered list. The only difference between the order and unordered, here you will use a UL for the unordered. For the order list, you will use the OL. So order list is also have a different types. Now by default, it is going to display as a number. Now let's say here, this is the ordered list. Let me add paragraph ordered list. For this, we will specify the OL. And inside this, I'm going to display the LI. Click on this save. By default, it is going to display in the 1, 2, 3. But if you want a different format, so if you want a uppercase, right, capital A, if you want a lowercase, small a, or if you want a Roman, then you can use L, small l. If you want a lower L, sorry, Roman uppercase, it is a capital I. Roman lowercase, it will be a small I. Like that you can display. Now let's see here, type. Now let me use the same thing. Type equal to capital A. So here it is Roman I, small I, capital A, small a. So this is for the capital A. And similarly, if you want a Roman, let's use the capital I. Now let's save this. Refresh. Now this is capital A will be there, and this is the Roman. If you want a small Roman, you can use a small Roman also. Similarly, we have a description list. So description list, now you can add, before going to the description list, now can I add a multiple list? Now I have a one list is available here. So I have a, assume that here we have a one list, right? So Salesforce or Apex is there. Inside this, I wanted to add few more list, sub list I wanted to add it. Now let me create it. Now here we have a circle. Inside this Apex, I wanted to add few more. So what you can do is you can add it. So Li, inside this Li, add one more UL. And then let's say here, I'm going to add it Li, circle, and another Li will be saucer. So this is inside the multiple order, like if you want to add it. Same thing with the order list. Now, if you want to add a order list here, so let me add it here, more thing. Now, inside this order list, let's say capital Roman. Inside this capital Roman, I'll add it here, UL. Now, let's save this. Now, just refresh this page. Now, it is unordered list. I can see here, which is the Apex, and inside this, we have this. Now, can I change this circle? Yes, you can change it. So you have a unordered. So for example, inside this, I just want to add a square one. Or let me add this here. Inside the circle, I wanted to apply the style disk. Now you can apply the different dots also. Similarly, here also, if you want to add it Apex, inside the Apex, you want to add a sub list. You want to add sub list. So you can add like this multiple sub list also, you can add it. And the next one we have a, this we will see later, description list. So description list is also same. Try this description list. So description list is a also list items. Now in this case, what we are doing is we have a defined description list. You are defining the description list by using the DL tag. By using the DL tag, you are declaring the description list. Then you have it defines the terms, whatever the terms are there, you can define it. So it is similar whenever you go to the any shop, like a coffee shop or a tea, any shop, if you go for it. So or menu, like a restaurant when you go for it. So they will have some information like this, coffee will be there, right? So they will have some information and below that how they are making it, like a maybe coffee, sugar and some water, like that, how they are preparing it. If you want to add a detailed information below, so coffee is the header and below the detailed information will be displayed here. So you have a DL. So this is the description tag. Inside this description tag, what is the name of the name you are defining it and what is the data that you wanted to attach to this particular description text or a term. So try this. You will be able to do this. If it does not work, we will see tomorrow. I mean Monday. So that's all for today.